keeping the golden goose laying them eggs, looking after it.
Don't take any risks.
Thing is, with Anthony Joshua, he's Olympic gold medalist, and in the UK he's a massive star. He sells out stadiums, 70,000, 90,000.
Yeah. Huge star.
Huge star.
The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics.
I mean, it's come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, I think, he's had a lot of criticism about he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but, and he's fighting as a pro. They said it's about time he fought some.
Joe Rogan and Tyson Fury weighed in on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua talks, and both question why Joshua is even considering it. They say Joshua and his team seem more focused on the payday than real competition. Fury adds that if Joshua wants meaningful fights, he should be facing him or Deontay Wilder, not a YouTuber-turned-boxer. To them, choosing Jake Paul looks like a business decision, not a sporting one.
Because this is a business at the end of the day. And if I was his management team, I'd say stay away from Fury, stay away from Wilder, and we'll just fight the rest of the people and keep making plenty of money. Why do we need to fight these?
Michael Bisping sees the situation differently. He says Jake Paul is in a win-win spot. If Jake somehow beats Joshua, even by accident, he would earn the respect he's been chasing since entering the sport. Beating a former unified heavyweight champion would instantly change how fans view him. And if Jake loses, Bisping says it still helps him, because stepping into the ring with a world-class heavyweight makes him look bold and fearless. Bisping believes all the real pressure falls on Joshua. If Joshua doesn't dominate, people will question his level as a top heavyweight.
Out there on an island by myself, everyone says the same thing, and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to mention the technical abilities. Let's just talk about that. Not to mention the technical abilities or experience. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, remember, from back in the day, who's then gone on to become a true British boxing icon or a worldwide boxing icon, let's be honest, right? There's no way that he loses.
Joe Rogan also reminds everyone that Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist and one of the hardest punchers of his generation. He thinks Joshua would approach the fight with the mindset of making an example out of Jake Paul. Rogan says Joshua wouldn't just aim to win, he'd try to send a message that there's a huge difference between real heavyweight champions and entertainers calling them out.
Oh my God, if he beat Anthony Joshua, good Lord. Good Lord. I mean, that's a big if, right?
I mean,
Anthony Joshua,
I do not think,
Olympic gold medalist, former heavyweight champion of the world. What he did to Francis Ngannou, like, good Lord.
Yes.
Do you want that smoke?
Yeah, I just think it's all about the promotion or whatever. I have no idea what the actual motivation is for that fight's not competitive at all.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua is one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch fucking night-night guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great boxer,
Frank Warren offers a blunt take. He says the whole idea seemed to come out of nowhere, and from what he can tell, Jake Paul is the one pushing hardest for it. Warren believes Jake is tired of being criticized for fighting smaller or less experienced opponents. Taking on Joshua, in his view, is Jake's attempt to silence critics once and for all. Warren says most promoters never expected Jake to target someone like Joshua, but it seems Jake wants to prove he's ready for a real heavyweight challenge.
Both. It's not a fight I even thought of. It's nothing to do with me to start with. It come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, he's had a lot of criticism about he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but and he's fighting as a pro. They said it's about time he fought some. I've seen some of the stuff, that's been said. When's he going to fight someone? Well, he's gone from one extreme to the other. That's what he's doing. So if that fight happens, you've got to take your hat off to him.
He got called out by Andre Ward, AJ. Would you rather see Jake fight AJ, which is obviously, as we know, a mismatch, or Andre Ward, who's been retired for, 4 years?
I'd much rather see AJ fight Tyson.
Oh, please. I dread to think how many
we
times
don't know if that's
going to
happen because the big man, he's filming, he's not made his mind up what he's going to do. And
Ben Davison looks at the matchup from a strictly boxing standpoint, and he's far more dismissive. He compares it to how quickly Joshua handled Francis Ngannou, someone who is naturally much bigger and far stronger than Jake Paul. Davison argues that if Ngannou couldn't handle Joshua's power for long, then Jake Paul has no realistic chance. He says this isn't disrespect, just a reminder of how massive the gap is between elite heavyweights and crossover fighters. In his eyes, everyone already knows how the fight would end.
In terms of a fight, Francis Ngannou is one of the most durable men on the planet. And look at what happened there. I don't think it's good for boxing, if I'm honest.
I was about to ask, obviously, if we were to see that fight, AJ would be a heavy favourite with, I'd imagine, 99.9999% of the sport. How quickly would you expect to see Anthony Joshua get the job done against Jake Paul?
He could go in there and do what he wanted. He could play with him if he wanted to.
Spencer Oliver brings a different perspective. He believes this kind of fight could have a symbolic impact on boxing. He says if Joshua actually took the matchup, it would resemble the type of high-profile, unconventional events Muhammad Ali sometimes embraced, fights that reached far beyond traditional boxing fans. Oliver thinks a Joshua Paul event could attract millions of new viewers and open fresh marketing opportunities. Even if the skill levels don't match, the spectacle alone would make global noise. He adds that Joshua could tap into a younger audience that follows digital stars more than boxers, giving him even broader worldwide reach and boosting his profile in the entertainment side of the sport.
Goes in, pops him a few times in the face, walks out of 150 million quid. No one will remember the fact he fought Jake Paul. They'll remember the fact he knocked Klitschko out in Wembley in 2017.
Totally agree with that.
So I'm kind of, whilst I don't like it, and I don't like the way that Jake Paul gravitates to these brilliant athletes and like a moth sucks the life out of them because he gets a benefit of association, because I think they deserve all the association. But he is a and there is opportunity there, isn't there?
Listen, commercially, of course it works because it'll be huge and there'll be a load of money on the table. And for Anthony Joshua, it's like sort of, he's going to get rewarded very well with no risk, minimal risk, no risk at all. He's going to go in there and he may then put all this stuff to bed with Jake Paul and calling out all these different champions, etc., etc. So, of course it works. And when you're talking about, the credibility that Joshua's going to get, he's not going to get none now, but are people going to remember that? Of course they're not. Like, when he goes on to do what he does, didn't Muhammad Ali have some sort of strange fight in the middle of his career? Didn't he box? Yeah, he did. He boxed some non-boxing guy and whatnot. Like, people don't remember that. That's what I'm saying. Look, us as boxers, we don't remember stuff like that.
It was replicated in Rocky. So, he did a version of Fighting Thunder Lips, didn't he? So we all know that